3D printing, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence. Technology is rapidly evolving with more mind-blowing ideas that could definitely reshape the world. Welcome to Tech Surge News, where we bring you the latest in the world of science and technology. In this video, join us as we explore futuristic and groundbreaking tech that'll definitely knock your socks off. Here are the 10 new advanced technologies that will change our lives. Starting off at number 10, SPINLAUNCH. If you're into aerospace technology, then you've probably heard of SPINLAUNCH. SPINLAUNCH is a spaceflight technology development company established in 2014 and is funded by well-known companies such as Airbus and Google. The company is producing a kinetic energy launch system to put satellites into outer space. The concept of SPINLAUNCH is that a vacuum-sealed centrifuge will generate high enough velocities before shooting satellites up to space. It usually reaches speeds over 5,000 miles per hour before a rocket booster takes off when it reaches suborbital height. SPINLAUNCH's method significantly reduces the amount of chemical pollution to what traditional rockets do, and it's also cheaper and greener too. By using eco-friendly sources such as solar and wind, a launch may even be funded at less than $500,000, much more affordable than current launches costing up to tens of millions of dollars. Truly an out-of-this-world idea. Number 9. Graphene. This nanomaterial is shaping to be a game-changer to the development of next-generation technologies. Known for its distinctive and exceptional properties, graphene is the combination of graphite and the suffix "ene", referring to polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. We know graphite from pencils and that it has a 3D structure, but the fascinating part about graphene is that it's a two-dimensional form of crystalline carbon with a hexagonal honeycomb formation. This magnificent nanomaterial is a great conductor of electricity and is 200 times stronger than steel, but significantly lighter. Among its other properties, graphene is just barely shy of being transparent since it only takes up about 2% of light. Gases can't even pass through it. There's so much that graphene can have a huge impact on, and the possibilities are endless. Researchers deem it as something so versatile that can be developed in many areas depending on demand. This kind of technology could definitely rewrite the future. On to number 8, GPS-3. We are all familiar with GPS and how it pioneered how we locate each other anywhere on Earth. But unapparent to everyone, GPS was initially a project meant to have military benefits. Being the first global navigation system, it garnered amazing reviews on how it had a positive effect to human lives. There is quite a problem with GPS nowadays though, with it being outdated and all. It doesn't always give an adequate resolution and at times inaccurate. Being out of coverage also seems to put people in quite a pickle. Think mountain hiking and getting lost because the GPS on your phone can't seem to get a proper location. But fret not, technology to solve these types of problems and more is getting real close to public use. Lo and behold, GPS-3. Designed and manufactured by Lockheed Martin, GPS-3 will have a 15-year design life, which is actually twice as long as the current GPS satellites. Some satellites have already been launched and is armed with a fully upgraded network in about a couple or more years. GPS-3 will be 3 times more accurate and would have the ability to overcome interference. Next is number 7, floating farms. One of the greatest threats the human population faces is the availability of food. 30% of the Earth's land surface is all allocated for agriculture. As population increases, the need to expand areas for crops and growing livestock also increases, which would mean less areas for living and the encouragement of deforestation. This also has a great effect in the environment's ecosystem. In order to prevent inhabitation and large-scale deforestation, companies are going through with the idea of floating farms. No, we aren't talking about cows on the moon, but large infrastructures built on the ocean. These farms can be repositioned where there is demand, and the selling point is that they're temporary, leaving no permanent effect to marine ecosystems. Belladon, a company in the Netherlands, has already put this into practice. They already have a floating farm in the port of Rotterdam, which houses 40 Meuse Rhine-IJssel cows being milked by robots. Peter van Wingerden, CEO of Floating Farm Rotterdam, even plans to expand by making a floating farm for chickens and vegetables. Number 6. Edge computing. Most people, especially millennials, are familiar with the cloud. It's where most of us store our emails and even sensitive documents. Unfortunately, cloud computing has its drawbacks. Most cloud computing companies piggyback on the biggest companies in the cloud industry, namely Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and IBM. Since everything has been pretty much uploaded to the cloud, edge computing is making a name for itself. By looking at the edge of the cloud, we're exploring new ways to process and store data closer to the user. This means work is done locally and significantly reduces latency, which is what most users find beneficial. Edge computing is also essentially more private and secure. By using less bandwidth, the data center infrastructure doesn't fail as much due to heavy use. We already see edge computing everywhere and makes accessing data online much easier. Number 5 is 3D printing. 3D printing is mostly known for producing miniature items made of plastic. By pouring liquid components to the machine, an object you've designed from a computer is created through layers and layers of that material. Recently, objects created from 3D printers have been increasingly more and more complex. It may even become the new generation of manufacturing. Those who own their own machines have been seen to create their own household items given that they have knowledge of 3D printing and design. With the ability of creating your own design and prototypes, possibilities are boundless. A big part of why 3D printing became more popular these days is that there are already a few buildings that have a percentage of them being 3D printed. Transportation of materials could also become easier. Instead of having to ship huge chunks of bricks, you could just manufacture those components on site, effectively cutting the time of construction in half. Talk about efficient. On to number 4, GPT-3. We're all familiar with artificial intelligence because of the Terminator and other sci-fi movies. But companies are actually funding projects for the inventions of AI. It is true that artificial intelligence can be impactful on the technology that we have now and in the future. Creating AI is difficult and involves a lot of steps before it can actually take over the world. Before it does, it needs to learn how to learn. GPT-3 is actually the closest thing that we could get. GPT-3, or Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, is a third-generation deep learning neural network developed by OpenAI. It is able to construct sentences and text in a way that a human should. This characteristic in AI is considered to be the most difficult to create, and yet some studies believe it to be virtually impossible to decipher whether it was actually made by a person or not. Microsoft made the first move and have already programmed it onto their products. GPT-3 will shift our view of reality, and who knows, this script may not even be made by human hands. Next is number 3. Connected homes. Man has always used technological advancements and inventions to make life easier, from the creation of fire to the invention of smartphones. The progress doesn't seem to stop as long as humans wish for a comfortable life. Speaking of comfortable, connected homes have been increasingly popular, and through the Internet of Things and new technology being developed, such can include more functions and become more reliable. In fact, 37% of households in America have connected smart devices to their homes. With a touch of a button or the sound of your voice, you can control your thermostats, light switches, speakers, and more. One could only think of the possibilities in the near future. Essentially, everything that's powered by electricity could be accessed from your phone or your voice. Hey Alexa, or Siri, subscribe me to Tech Surge News. Number 2 is fighting fire with sound. As climate change is affecting our planet, more and more wildfires are becoming apparent all across the globe. Significantly, fires in California have become more frequent than it did in the 70s. With the ice caps melting, it's just more likely to happen again. Large amounts of water and our foam has always been our answer to putting out fires, but as of recent, there have been cases of water shortages and the need for an alternative. In 2015, a method of using sound to put out fires was developed, and now it will be used extensively in the near future. Known as the acoustic extinguisher, it makes use of sound waves to disperse oxygen and isolate them from the origin of the flames. Research for this technology have been conducted before, and now there have been reports that ideal frequency along with correct techniques have been discovered, making this probably the go-to method in taking out fires. Soon enough, we might be hearing your favorite songs being played by firefighters when dealing with fires. Finally, at number 1, quantum computing. Computers have always been a big part of the progress of human lives, and researchers have been looking for the factor that would benefit the advancement of computers to the next level. They're one step closer with a quantum computer. What is a quantum computer, you may ask? Effectively, a quantum computer differs from your usual computer in how they handle information that is stored. Classic computers operate in ones or zeros we call bits, while quantum computers operate on a subatomic level where they use qubits that can be represented as 1 or 0 quantum state or a superposition of both. They also use the properties of quantum physics to perform complex computations. Researchers still are working to see if they can actually find a situation that can utilize their advantage, but right now they're focusing on one that's stable enough. Thank you for staying around till the end of the video. To keep on hearing from us, feel free to subscribe down below and hit the bell button to get the latest notifications. TechSurge News signing out.